For the first project, which will present all three projects, which will have a reference to this analysis of the life after the socialism. I just need somehow also to say that if I mention the word socialism, in Yugoslavia it was a different type of socialism. It wasn't a type of socialism which was present in all part of the Eastern Bloc. Yugoslavia was somewhere in between the Eastern Bloc and the Western capitalist societies. So somehow it was more open, more liberal, especially in the 80s after Tito's death. This was, how to say, one of the most experiences of the possibilities in some society in my life. This rising for me in the 80s was really important important experience in my life. So this work will speak, all three works will speak about the transitions in society and the situation and the effects of this transition in our post-war and post-socialist society. So first project which I'm going to present is called East Side Story. It's a project video work. I also created a series of the photographies, but it's mainly presented as a video work, two-channel video installation. Usually it's exhibited in the corner of the exhibition room, like a mirroring, like a reflecting. I created this project from 2006 up to 2008 for 2.5 years by invitation from the Museum of Contemporary Art in Belgrade, in Serbia. They invited me to create site-specific work, and I started to think about the problems in our societies, the same society in Serbia and society in Croatia. So, of course, I was aware about the problem in the both countries toward the relation from the majority toward the other national minorities. So I was starting to think about this, how to say, nationalistic way, which was in the 90s really, really strong, and how it was reflect toward the other minorities, in this case toward the other sexual minority. So since I was working as a journalist and a producer in one activist video studio, it's called Fade In. This studio exists still. I worked there for 8 years. It was a collective, which it was a group of activists, which we created together the politics of studio, and we was following social engagement topics in Croatia. So this studio was, our studio was filmed the whole gay parade in Zagreb. By the invitation from Museum of Contemporary Art in Belgrade, when I decided to focus myself on this topic, I decided to search for the materials, video materials, on Belgrade televisions. So I tried to find some insiders which will give me raw materials, because raw materials is really quite expensive. Somehow what is maybe important for you to say to show you the process of the work. Somehow my first idea was to do a documentary where I wanted to interview the people, the activists who was participating in the boat parades in Zagreb and Belgrade, which have been quite traumatic. You will see materials. So when I was observing materials in editing room, my body was always reacted on these video materials. I was always in the state of shock. How someone can be such a brutal toward the other only because this other is different. And because of these body reactions, somehow I feel if I'm gonna interview the people for the documentary, I'm gonna split this emotion. So emotion will not be condensed. And I get idea that I will read off idea of the documentary film with the talking heads, and that I will focus only on this condensed emotion. So I will start to question myself what to do with this condensed emotion. And somehow, because of the body reactions, I get to idea, okay, I'm gonna work with the dancers. So I get to this main idea that I will work with participant, my friends from one dance company in Zagreb, and that we will create a certain kind of a choreography on the same place where these tragical events happen. As a certain kind of protest to going out in the public sphere, and as a certain kind of a metaphorical, symbolical healing of this place, and to show that this is some kind of a creative resistance force from the dancers and from our small company, which was playing and exercising and creating this choreography in the public space. So in this way, my main input was that for the 2.5 months, we will create the choreography only in the public spaces, public sphere, squares, streets, where these events happen. And I didn't want to exercise in the closed rooms, sport rooms, sport halls, or how you say this, maybe I'm missing the words in English. And I was filming this, and later I created it as a double channel video projection. So I'm going to show you the works now.
Spit it out in your face. Open your mouth, give you a taste. Holla, ain't no stopping me. Copy written, so don't copy me. Y'all do it sloppily, and y'all can't come close to me. I know you feel me now. I know you hear me now. I scream it loud and proud. This shit gon' blow it down. People gon' play me.
Moraš pičkati, ne?
Suzavac je, pazi.
Ajmo polako natrag ispred paviljona, to je samo malo dima, dođite natrag, molim vas. Idemo!
Gdje ćeš bre?
Lepo je ovo flaša bila, stvarno svaka čast.
Nećemo miliciju, ne miliciju! Ne bilo bre!
Ova flaša je bila po mojoj glavi, bliže. Svaka vam čast! Sa leđa!
Hitnu pomoć zovite! Hitnu pomoć! Nećeš, ajde, sedni ovdje, sedni ovdje.
Čekaj, dobro je.
Ajde.
Mamu vam jebe, poštite oca i mater kao prirodnu skrinu. Fascinantni u pičku materinu. Pederi.
Da Boga dobili hemeroide da se ne jebete!
Isuse! Ovna!
Pa kak ti nije neugodno s djetetom tu bit? Pa šta se smiješ, majmune, jeli? Pa kaj ti gledaš koji kudac?
Jednom ću to otiš kući, majku.
Pustite ga!
Na njega idu, mater vam jebem. Kamo je prado? Da ćeš nam... Bože, oprosti mi dole. Bože, neprijatelj satana! Ti si satana!
Aj neki se mama srami čovječ.
Lurnicu!
Pusička, jebem ti Boga! Smeće jedno, pljuješ po braniteljima, pedere podržavaš. Jebem ti mater, šugavu. Kaj, to si tati doma radi, jebote ono dupe, pedersko. Kaj niko nema bombe, jebote, Bog mater.
Spremni! Spremni! Spremni!
Ubi, 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 pedera! 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 Ubi, 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 pedera! 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 Sakrili su se među diskove! Ja ne odsjeću. Paljba! Hajde, piće! Hajde ko kameni ljudi bre, jebote. Šta je bro? Šta radiš ti s tom kamerom? Pa brate, pusti tu njih, nek se dobaci. Beži, beži! Beži bre, nek, beži! Hajde kom! Zoki! Snimaj! Beži! Šta je? Šta je? Na! Ginuli smo poti zvezde i jebema mater! Hodajte pederi i jebema mater! Šta se smiješ? Šta je? Šta je? Jebem ti matere! Kad tak ću te naš sataću boleo svima je! Jebem vam milu majku vam jebem! Šta je? Zvezda! Jel poznato, a?
Idemo, hodat, ajmo. Ajmo.
Alo, spone!
If you have some questions about the work, process, feedback, whatever. What? Yeah, okay, so I'm comparing and exchanging the images from the footage from Zagreb and from the Belgrade. First parade was happened in 2001 in Belgrade. This is the one where the police was, where you could see the shots from the machine guns. And the other images from Zagreb, where was organized by police, how to say, I don't know how to say, cordon of the police. Cordon is a word in Croatian, but I don't know in English. When there is this line of the police who are defending the activists who are in the parade. Okay. So this parade in Zagreb happened in 2002, 1 year later. So police was already prepared, more organized, because they knew what's happening in Belgrade, that it was extremely brutal reactions. And wherever I show the work, let's say, not only in Belgrade, but all around, the reactions was quite strong emotionally. People are reacting. I heard from many persons, curators, artists, public, feedback that they've been touched almost to tears. Why I call this work East Side Story is the fact that I was somehow reflecting on the reactions which was happening in all Eastern Bloc. Wherever these gay parades happen in Budapest, Moscow, Bucharest, it was quite brutal reactions. And but what was interesting, I was thinking that this is the effect only from the Eastern Bloc. That's why it's called East Side Story. But while exhibiting this work abroad in the Western European countries, I've heard from many curators, some of curators and from public, says that it was the images from their childhood. Some which was from gay orientation, they said that they experienced the same things in London, Paris, or another cities. And they say that actually it was still happening, but in the smaller cities, in the villages, this kind of prejudice or brutal reactions still exist. So for me, it was interesting that the situation when I was exhibiting this work in Palais de Tokyo in Paris in 2012. That year, I think in 2012 or 2013 was happening, I think 2012, that year was happening that lots of protesters been on the street against the right for the equal marriages. And the reactions and in public wasn't quite different. They weren't maybe so brutal, but they wasn't quite different. There were still reactions with the huge prejudice. And so when I was exhibiting the work in Zagreb, I had the most comment. This work was win the prize in 2 big exhibition in Zagreb, and it's become the part of the collection of the Museum of Contemporary Art. And so the how to say, the critics came from the Croat side mostly, because they was questioning some, let's say, more traditional, more patriarchal, more conservative intellectuals, was criticized how I could dare to comparing the footage from Croatia and from Serbia, because footage from Croatia was more civilized. But this is actually not true, because you can see so many insultings, you can see reactions from the football followers and the right-oriented extremists. And we need also to be aware that if didn't happen Belgrade, Croatian police wouldn't be prepared. So if Croatian police haven't been prepared, the reactions in front of camera will be the same, brutal. But what is fact also, that what is visible in front of camera, these insultings, these kind of reactions, the other images, brutal images, which in fact happened there in Zagreb, haven't been recorded by the camera. And so many friends of mine been followed after the parade, and they've been beaten after parade. You know, you can see even in the material that somebody says, you will go once home after parade. So they've been following them and they will been attacking them. So this is something which is not been seen in front of camera, and these kind of critics which come from the right oriented intellectuals wasn't true, actually. So, is there any other questions, maybe? Yes. We've been working like this. I had some part edited, and I had lots of raw material, and we've been watching together at the beginning, and then I give materials, recorded materials to them on DVDs, and they've been watching at home and analyzed, and then we went out in the public space. I was interested to show the both sides, their personal also reactions. So dancers are sometimes in the role of aggressor, sometimes in the role of a victim. So they're exchanging this choreography. Yes, this is the main. I wanted to say something else, but now I forgot.
Did you want to make a contrast with the rest of the footage? Was it supposed to be, because you say they take the role of aggressor, but is it also kind of the soft side or something? Because sometimes I couldn't watch the dancers because the other side was so prominent.
Yes. I'm aware of it, of course, that people are stuck somehow in stick toward this documentary part. But I didn't want to make only documentary film. I needed this other part, which will reflect the documentary part. And to be honest, for me, it was quite struggle in an editing room. I've been working a lot in editing. It was a struggle for sure with this dancers part. I needed to find some kind of a balance between the materials. This documentary part was so strong somehow that how to say, struck you in a stomach. And I was aware that it will attract much more attention all the time. So when I was working on the material, documentary, dancers material, I had the 3 cameras. This is the truth. So when we starting to editing the dancers, with the 3 camera that I was split, like part of directions of the upper part of the body, then American plan up to here with the 2nd camera, and the 3rd camera like a total. I realized that this part of the dancers is too much stylized, and it's not have a so much strong effect like a documentary part. So then I realized that somehow through this long process of editing, I had like edited 4 or 5 minutes of, it's a 14 minutes film. So I have edited like 4 or 5 minutes of the dancers. And suddenly I left the dancers, one footage, like a total footage of the dancers, to just go in this creative crisis. I didn't know how to get out of this because with 3 camera, when you're editing, it looks like some musical spot. And I wanted to escape from this. I wanted to have more in a raw, strong documentary part, the same, this part of the dancers. And so I left somehow that this one shot with the dancer go on, and slowly, while I was watching it for a few minutes, only one dancers in a total, then I realized, okay, this is a maybe good idea, good resolve for a problem. Sorry, because of my English, sometimes I'm missing the words. So then I decided, okay, to throw away these 2 cameras, which are splitting the dancer, and just to keep the 1 camera like a total. So mostly the dancers up to the end are just shot in a total and in a longer shots. In that way, I realized that it have the same heaviness like this documentary film on the other sides. And so I was thinking in a creative way that to have this dancer is on the other sides of the video work, on the other part, it's create like a commentary, even more tragical, this documentary material. So that's why I decided to show it both together. I think that emotional impact and the empathy which it creates, it's more stronger with this dancer's commentary than just leaving a documentary film just as a one-channel film. Okay. Yes. There is no stupid questions, just ask.
The police protected the gay parade, didn't they? Or did they also support the nationalists? Like they were arresting the nationalists and the motto in the 2 videos, right?
Yes, at the end, yes, yeah.
And in which year were the videos shot?
Sorry?
In which year were the videos shot?
This documentary, it's happened in Serbia and Belgrade in 2001 and in Zagreb 2002, 1 year later, 1 year after.
And the situation,
But
the situation now for gays in Serbia and in Croatia, is it the same now?
there was several quite brutal reactions and individual excess, like aggressive excess, even with the Molotov cocktails, or which have been thrown on the some gay clubs after parades. In Belgrade, I was participating in the parade in I'm not sure 2009 or 2010, and it was looked like a war. And in that times happened that nationalist was destroyed like half of the city center, and but the activist was really saved in how to say 2 rings. Police been organized like to protect the whole parade in 2 rings, and so they couldn't break through these rings. In Croatia, what's happened, I'm not sure which year, the aggressive reactions on the parade in Split, but now more or less more saved these parades. But what you ask, it's visible that in 2001 in Serbia, in Belgrade, police wasn't prepared for this, and actually they didn't react properly. They was quite they wanted to stay somehow on the side. It's quite visible in a certain part of town. They didn't want to react. You can see that they are not reacting immediately, but they are just like confused what they are doing there actually. Yes.
But I also noticed like there's kind of a yin-yang balance of the amount of people in the image also. On one side you have a massa of the kind of populism, a massa of people, like angry hooligans, like team supporters, like and on the other side you have people on the street walking and the dancers that seem sometimes alone, sometimes in groups. But how do you see the kind of people that you put in the picture because there's like the image of hooligans, there's like kind of Nazi followers, like skinheads, there's I don't know how do you because I think you bring that this image inside the art world, and there's it's very dangerous. Like it's the image of the something that is a immediate danger to a lot of people connected to the arts and things like that. And do you find we can learn about the kind of how do you think there's like a learning lesson behind the video or how to be prepared or deal with this kind of people or groups, or because they're still here today, like the followers of Trump, or it's like a brainwashed group of society that and I don't know, it's your how do you look at them? Like either they have a psychological disturbance, you need to deal with it.
I mean, yes, this is what art should do, what artists intend to do somehow, to create some kind of reactions from the others, to create this kind of a discussion, this kind of communication, this kind of a dialogue with the other. And as I mentioned at the beginning, I realized that if I create a documentary film, I won't have this kind of condensed emotion. I mean, this kind of discussions you have in media a lot. this kind of texts, commentaries, public discussions even. And it's all of these materials, and these intentions are to work with the others and to make little steps of the changing in a society. So I was thinking that in that way, if I keep condensed emotion, I can create a reaction from the other, from the someone who is from the public, the same as I have reactions now. So how to say, this work is 11 years old, almost 12 years old, when I started to work even more. But I still have reaction, like for the first time. Sometimes it touched me, you know, like almost to tears, how someone can be brutal toward the other. I experienced this war, this absurd of war, and what war is doing to us if we are involved in it. So
there's some moments where the dancers make some strong moves that the attention, like for some small moment, like goes back to the dancers, like gets pushed by the dancers.
yes, so in that way I wanted to create empathy. And with the work, with this strong emotional impact, I wanted to create empathy in the other. So if somebody have the empathy, or if it's have emotional reactions, I hope that you will start to question yourself how you create this reality, how we all of us creating this reality. We are not creating reality only by the one artwork. We are creating a reality with our gestures, words, acts, with all these small little things which we are doing in everyday life. We are creating reality. How we relate to the others. So I'm not separating my everyday behavior from this what I'm doing in art systems. This is the maximum kind of responsibility as I can do as a human, as a person. And that's what I want also to question with my work.
And the choice to end the movie with the guys getting arrested is like a sign of hope, or kind of that's what police should do, or that's kind of.
Okay, you never know how society in general will react, but at least you can hope that this kind of fighters for the resistance, like dancers or activists, because mostly in the parade was human rights activists, not the gay persons. At the beginning, the persons from gay orientation. Later, younger ones started to become more present in the gay parades in Croatia, Serbia, ex-Yugoslavia. They are more, how to say, maybe brave to make a coming out and to support their personal statements and identities. And yes, yeah, this is it. But this is, as I say, this is like some kind of movement of a resistance in a symbolical, metaphorical way, in which we can contribute toward the society, in the society. Yes, the footage from Zagreb came from a studio in which I work as a journalist and a producer, as I mentioned, this Fade-In studio. It's a group of young activists. We've been together as a group creating the politics of the studio, so we've been filmed this. But the footage from Belgrade came from the television, from several televisions, from several sources. I tried to find as much material as I could find, because every strong visual is important to create work, because you make a selection, of course, in editing from the material, and every shot is important. No. I choose. Yeah, I took some edited material and mostly raw materials. I tried to find lots of raw materials. Unfortunately, because of the crisis in Serbia, they erased a bunch of the materials, which is somehow the history of this country, but simply they didn't have enough. That was a beta cassette. Beta cassette was cassettes for television. Digital beta. But from Fade-In, from Zagreb is a different sources. Mini DV, not HD, not so much in this period, wasn't so HD so much present. The cameras was maybe expensive.
Why do you think like there's so much hatred against gays, like in Croatia, Belgrade? And also there was also something that was like an older guy who told like, my son died in the war. Yeah, I don't know, I didn't really understand. Did also the hatred also has something to do with the war before?
Yes, the articulation of this hate is always condensed in some how to say political way, with a political language. You can hear quite clear and see that in Zagreb, in Croatia, they are saying, "Come on, gays, go there." In Serbia, there you can make gay parades. And in Serbia, at the same time, use the same language and call them the participants from the gay parade, Ustaše. Ustaše is a Croatian fascist party from the Second World War. So the languages of hatred is similar. There was a big nationalistic explosion in a society in the 90s. And during the war and after the war, big hate rised in the society toward the minority. And because of the war and the post-war period, it was a huge economical crisis, but really huge. And the same now, like now in Europe, you have others, immigrants, who are coming in Europe, and they are guilty because of our how to say, economical situation which going on. So which going on in Europe. This is also why right-wings rise so much. Right-wing power rised in Europe the same. So this is the same. This is the same manifestations in Croatia. It was in ex-Yugoslavia or in Eastern Bloc, that suddenly they wanted to find someone who is guilty for something in a society. And at the same time, they've been, this right-oriented nationalist was quite connected with the church. Suddenly, after the socialist period, where church and religion wasn't so much present, it was present, but not so much in the first plan. After the fall of socialism, this new religious way came on the surface, and the participants and the representatives, how to say, of the church institution become quite close to the politicians. And they was dealing the politics in this area. In Serbia, Orthodox Church. In Croatia, it was huge Catholic wave. So it was look like they are defending some kind of morality in a society. So this nationalist movement was defending same kind of values in the society. They've been, how to say, showing and deciding what is right and what is wrong. And to be other, with the other sexual orientation, for sure for them wasn't a moral thing. So this is why this hatred comes so much. But there's many layers in this kind of aggressive and brutal reactions. Okay, thank you. Okay, you have the same question. Yeah.
The internet is full of videos where you can see people doing really nasty crimes to other people, youth violence, etc. I was wondering what for you is the difference between those kind of videos on the internet and your work. Like there is a similarity and there's also a difference, but I'm curious what it is for you.
I created a work about a certain problem which happened in my society. I created it because of the invitation of Museum of Contemporary Art, and I wanted to focus on certain specific problem in our society. Let's say for me and for the others theoreticians, this is first work which was completely directly dealing with this problematic in a society, and which raise lots of questions. This work is a part of the many collections now in art system, in museums. But anyhow, I decided to put it also openly on the website, on the internet, to influence the other. So this work somehow is like an artwork, which is have its concept and it's concentrated and it's how to say closed as an idea, as a product, and it can lead you to some ideas, reactions, questions, or conclusions. It's for sure it's a difference than some short shots which somebody put on in the internet. It's a different form for sure, and it's a different message. I don't know why somebody can put this. But there's a different kind of motivations why somebody put this kind of materials on internet. I think that my motivation is quite clear. So I don't know, am I answered correct? But this is what I'm thinking at the moment. Thanks. Okay, if there's no questions, I will go to other works because I don't want to keep you for a really long time. I don't know what time is it and how much time we have, how much time you can spend here. I will present the other project, which is called the Monument. For sure, you've been heard about the relation toward socialist symbols in the Eastern Bloc after the fall of socialism. I decided to react the same on the fact that in the war in the 90s in Croatia was happened a crime toward the anti-fascist monuments. I'm calling it anti-fascist, not a socialist, because these monuments been raised because of the victims, Second World War victims. And it's a different kind of statues, sculptures, plates on which was written something, or even the big abstract monumental forms. I can say the same little bit about the process shortly. My first idea was in 2007 to create a photographic essay about these anti-fascist monuments. But then I realized that Jan Kampenaars, which is one of the professors here on the faculty, created a series of these anti-fascist monuments from the ex-Yugoslavia. This abstract anti-fascist monument in ex-Yugoslavia was quite different. As I mentioned, it was a different type of socialism, more liberal, more democratic, and it's shown also in the forms. In all Eastern blocs, the most majority of the anti-fascist monuments been related to the social realism and figurative presentation of the topic. And in ex-Yugoslavia was more abstract, monumental, beautiful sculptural forms. And I had the same approach almost like in East Side Story, the work before. First, I wanted to create a documentary with activists to speak about these topics and what was going on and how we need to react on this. Art historians and historians the same. But then when I faced myself in front of the monuments, in front of these beautiful, huge monumental abstract forms, again, because I was facing them as a pioneer in socialism as a child, when I faced myself again in front of them, surrounded by nature, somehow I was touched by them, and I started to observe them as living beings, as somehow as monoliths from Kubrick Odyssey, film Odyssey, maybe not from Kubrick. And I decided to film them, to observe their, let's say, and to document their everyday life. So this is a meditative film. It's 50 minutes long, but I'm gonna show you just a part of it, and then we can speak shortly about this, and then I can present the work from the Biennial. Okay, this is usually 50-minute long film, so I just wanted to show you one excerpt. If you have some questions, I'm open here. It's shown on the film festivals, exhibitions, the same, on like a huge projection. In X Factory, empty spaces, galleries. The film got several awards, and I've been working on it for 5 years. Slowly trying to find a way how to deal with such so many material, so big material. How to keep the attention of the viewer, how to create a dramaturgy. I mean, it's not easy to create a film which is long for 50 minutes to keep attention. So I was really working on dramaturgy. Then we was working on the editing, and then going back on the sites to shoot again, and then back in editing. So it was really a lot of work. Yeah, you're right. Exactly. This is a good point. I was treating these monuments as a living being, and I wanted to show their everyday life. They're mostly abandoned. Some of them have visitors, like the one with the kids and with the people. Some of them are completely destroyed, some of them abandoned. Some of them was threatened to be destroyed by the dynamite. This one at the end with the goats completely destroyed. It was up in the air, but then you can see it on the ground. They blow it up in the air with the dynamite. As I was treating it, the monuments as living beings, as characters, I wanted to create a character for each monument to be in a different style. I was thinking about the rhythm of storytelling, and so it was important to create a story and a dramaturgy for and identity for each monument, and then also to create a rhythm in longer perspective of the whole film, the narrative of the whole film. So I was filming the monuments, some of the monuments in the several different natural seasons. So then at the end, I realized that I need to change the season for certain monuments just to keep this rhythm. And I was also questioning myself, shall I put these certain decisions in the film, certain symbols, metaphors, like with the goats, these fights. Okay, I didn't question about this, it's quite clear. Fight between inside the one nation, let's say also. Or these goats, ghosts, people ghosts, which you can see in the present character of this monument, presentation of this monument. But I realized that it's important also to keep it like this, because it's keep attention, but it's also reality of these monuments. it's important to know that on each place during the Second World War there was tragically died like thousands of people, especially on this place where the ghosts are. Like thousands of people died there, but also thousands of people have been taken up to the concentration camps, the biggest concentration camp in Croatia. And this monument I haven't shown you now with the concentration, where the concentration camps is raised. I kept completely in silence, and this is the end of the film. Like some pietet toward these tragical events and toward this monument. Yes, somehow I try to keep them as some kind of spiritual cathedrals. That to create this kind of emotion or even meditative state was important for me in this topic.
Are they all in the same kind of, are they near to each other?
Not so near, but they're on the same territory of Croatia, Bosnia. I filmed mostly in Croatia, Bosnia because of these attacks, let's say, on monuments. I didn't film in Serbia, Macedonia, because they didn't treat the monuments in the same way like it's happening in Croatia and Bosnia during the war. That was the main reason why I started to film about this destiny of these monuments. Okay, if there's yeah, this is a good question. The music is a important part of the film. The music creates certain kind of suggestion, certain kind of emotion, and it was really important. Let's say I was working before on television as a music editor for the documentary films. So I have a bunch of these materials with this kind of instrumentals and ambiental music. And for the editing, we starting to work with this music. And just as an example, and when we created the certain film for certain short film for certain monument, then we realized that I can't change it because we was doing editing on these music materials. So I was trying to change in the way that I had original music from the important authors from this ambiental instrumental music. So these musicians, worldwide musicians, and then I started to work with composer, and simply we couldn't replace this music. So the work, it was hard to me to say to a friend, which is composer, sorry, but I wouldn't take this music. I will pay for your activities, but this music is which I took as let's say exercise for the beginning, as example for the beginning, was much stronger. Then I decided to start to search for the rights, because at the beginning I was afraid that I will not get the rights. But when the musicians, when they saw the work, they liked it a lot, and they give the rights for free. And but for certain things which we couldn't get right, I took a composer and I gave instructions that I want something similar. So I work with a composer and another composer, and we get a really good result. Later, luckily, it's happened that in post-production I get the funds for post-production, and I decided to pay for each artist, each musician for his right, because they was open to give me for free even. And I was really grateful with the results, and then we paid for each musician for the rights at the end. But the music is really important. It's like important part of the film. Can you, sorry, I didn't hear you properly, so. Yes. It was important. Of course, I give suggestion that I want to have long shots, but really long meditative shots. Also, I'm working in the way with the cameraman that around each monument I was going around with my camera, and I was taking the shots from different angles, and then I decided which are the shots on which I want to work. So I was checking the photographs, and I said, okay, this is the one I wanted. This let's work with this. So cameraman was suggesting the movement of camera or stand of the camera, so we was discuss about this. It was a long process. We was working for 5 years, so we was really going back to the nature to film and back in the editing and yeah, yes. For sure, yes. The camera is in front and with the two black dogs, and then the whole exactly, for sure. No, I wanted to use the camera as in a different approach, that we wanted to use this method also, of course, of moving the camera, because it creates a certain kind of emotion or it suggests something. I was observing and analyzing a bunch of films about the architecture, and I didn't want to keep just a still camera and to have just like almost like a photographic shots with a still camera. So I wanted to use this movement as a certain kind of also emotional suggestion. Yes, so in that way it was really important part of the creation, the work, the film.
Because in the first scene, the emotional suggestions are suggested by what is in the visual image that is standing on its own. If the camera is there or not, these things are happening in society. Maybe it's like a question of architecture. Does it stand in the society?
Sorry, just? Yes. So yes, in this way I wanted to make a close-up, like in the face of the character of the monument. So yeah, in the second, third film part of the film, you can see where this monument is like this. You can see the faces, like cubistic faces, which are carved in the monument. This is like the memory of these events, the memory of the monument, like monument is being alive, having its own memory of these tragical events which was happening there. So I wanted to show this and to come closer to these faces the same with the camera. Okay, so we can go for the last project. This is the project from Venice Biennial. I'm gonna show, I will really try to be short because we already been here for long. And most of you have seen maybe this project in Venice. How much of you haven't seen? Can you raise the arms? Hands who haven't seen? Okay. So I will just try to describe it fast because there is also one short film, 12 minutes, which is also part of the project. So I created a project for Venice Biennial, which is called Traces of Disappearing in 3 acts. This is speaking about the transition from socialism to capitalism, and this transformation in an urban landscape which happened during this transition and during the privatization process. So I was observing, let's say, 3 urban landscape and following 3 topics. One is a topic which is the life of in the suburbs of the Zagreb, and I've been following one homeless community with the homeless people who created their homes in this area of the suburb, and they've been helping each other, and they live there as a certain kind of a commune. Since this reminds me somehow of my childhood, I was attracted by this topic and starting to follow photographically. So the whole work is long. I was working on it for 13 years, the whole project, 13. And spontaneously it's starting to change in front of my eyes. I've been attracted with the life of one person, especially because he created a certain kind of aesthetic. And I've been fascinated by his aestheticization of his living space, with how to say, found materials, and slowly, since this is his place of the living, I was fascinated with this covered with carpets. This is his courtyard, and this is his place of the living. And I call this essay Wild House. Slowly, through the time, it's starting to happen that this territory been bought by one company, and they wanted to create business, something like a business area and the area for the living, and they starting to remove slowly these houses and to destroy these houses. So dramaturgy of the work started to happen in front of my eyes. For me, it was really interesting to see this clash of the worlds, this place where the homeless people, almost homeless people, were lived, and the symbols of the consumerism and capitalism were so close and clashing each other. So you can see also this here. Slowly it's happened, the devastation of the space. There up you can see the little houses which I photographed on the autumn, was still there, and in the spring it was demolished, and things was thrown out, personal things from the person who lived there. Then it slowly happened again in the next autumn, that also this caravan was demolished, and then finally it's happened that unfortunately the whole area was demolished completely, except the house of my protagonist. And so he created a certain kind of gesture of resistance, and this company decided to leave the house for the moment. And I decided to help him in a certain kind of negotiation for another space for living for him. And but this process is still going on because of some kind of problems with the papers for this territory. All these years, this company couldn't start to build a new area. So this is the one first essay. In all three essays, I was how to say, tried to show the transformation of creativity, collective creativity in a society also. This is the second essay, which speaks about little crafts in the center of the cities. Like all of the cities in the Western, how to say, societies mostly. This is what's going on the same now with the East. All of these spaces which been before creative spaces, where the creative activities been happening, now started to become like the service spaces for service activities. So these spaces for the little crafts in the center of the cities starting to transform into spaces of the bar, restaurants, hostels, consumeristic spaces for leisure and pleasure. With this second part of the photographic essay, I was following transformation of this also for 13 years in the area of ex-Yugoslavic areas, not only in Croatia, but also in Serbia, Bosnia, Macedonia. And how these places are slowly becoming degrading and becoming the spaces for the bars, restaurants, as I mentioned, touristic spaces, consumeristic spaces. And with the third photographic essay, I'm trying to be shorter, not to speak too much. On the third photographic essays, I was following the transformation of the industrial landscape, where the industry in this privatization process from socialism to capitalism is transforming and how the work was becoming, how to say, abandoned from these spaces. So these photographs I also use as the backgrounds for the animated films. Since in the photographic essay I didn't have portraits of the persons, or at all I didn't use the human shots of the humans, photographic shots of the humans. Only I was speaking the story through the architecture. I was had how to say, references about the human destinies through the texts. So I'm usually presenting the work in this format as photographic sequences, which also suggest certain kind of a film sequences, like almost like a film narrative. I can say that all these three essays have a certain kind of approach, like a certain kind of a storyboards for potential film. This is the last chapter. From this chapter, I was used the main leading image for the whole project, and this is actually documented the scene from filming of animated film. Because as I mentioned, I use these photographs from this factories area, the construction of the factory. I use as a background scenography in the animated film. It's an animated film with a mixture techniques. And this is the last chapter of the whole three photographic essay, which are speaking about certain kind of possibilities which we can do as artists also in the society. This is also metaphorical gesture, which you will see in the film, which I can explain later. Why these red reflectors? I don't want to describe it now, but I can read the text. I don't know, maybe later I can read this text as a final text. If you have time, I don't know. Okay, you're right. The installations showed here. So this is the last chapter. The title of the last chapter is Old Factory, New Capital. What is this new possibility? What is this creative capital? So I was questioning, as I said, also in this photographic essay, The Construction of the Factory, the situation in which collective creativity for the common good is disappearing in a society. In capitalist society, everybody is focused on their own aims and on themselves and their own aims. But in the socialist society, there was movements in which all collectives was working for the common good, for the common good for all of us, all society, and for the others. So that's why I chose this title from the last chapter, which have this kind of how to say point. Point is maybe good word. So this side was presented the whole narrative from the White House essay, like a narrative which have really dramaturgical follow-up, which you can follow. On the wall, in the middle of the space, I used this grid. This grid is coming from this chapter of the factory windows. So that's we use this in the design. You can see this grid usually present in the factories. So this grid are coming from this fact, and the green color, which I use mainly, is coming from the fact that green color was usually used in the factories for the color of the machines. Without the green color, if the machines are black color or gray color, it can look like a dehumanized space, quite depressive. But this green color gives certain kind of life in these industrial spaces. So that's why I use mostly the green color in the design of the project and presentation of the project. And the last chapter from Filigree Sidewalk was presented in the drawers, which you can open and read the text. So I was quite aware that there's 33 chapters from all essays, and there's quite a lot of texts in it. I'm quite aware that in this biennial presentation, not so much people will read all the text because you want to see as much as you can. So in the drawers, we put decide to put this essay that you have possibility to read it or not to read it even. This is, of course, on your decision. And it was also more intimate because of these little crafts are presented as a more intimate little works, like little crafts. So yeah, this is, and then it was in another. So work was presented in the two spaces. On one side was presented all photographic essays, series. And in another space, second space was presented the film. So, since I didn't use in photographic essays the presence of humans, only through the texts, I decided to use one story through the animated characters, like a destiny of the people. I created the story of father and son who are going on the trip. In one father is leading son on a trip in one empty factory where father once worked, and all their relation and their destinies and their situation and their trauma is present there, and somehow it's dissolved, also resolved there in this space. So I'm gonna present now the film. Shortly, if you have some questions, please not too long. I'm really tired. We had from the early in the morning the workshop. For 8 hours I was constantly speaking. Now, even now, as I see 2.5 hours. I'm happy that you all came, even if it was a rainy day outside or whatever, but I'm really...
Just one promise about that red line, the red, the last space, something like that. You said I am not going to tell now.
Aha, okay. This is the last chapter. So we took this image as a lead image. It was exhibited as a huge, city light when it's with the light on the other side. I'm missing the word. Okay. So this is when we was filming this factory, which become alive again by symbolical gesture of the father. Father get idea through this because kid was playing with the matches. Father get idea that the way how to re-traumatize himself is to light the oven, the furnace in the factory which is defined, which is not working. So for him, this seamless, absurd gesture, because to how to say, to put the light on in a factory which is not working in the furnace is an absurd gesture. But through this creative game, he found the meaning to observe his trauma or his traumatical identity of losing this utopian dream of the building a new society where everyone will be equal. You saw this metaphor through the film, which is burning and going down. So through this absurd gesture, which is like a certain kind of a performance.
Through sharing the experience together, like share the experience through doing that action.
This is like a resistance act. Okay, I'm going further. I will fight through life. I will observe my own identity with a distance view in a more easy and more light way. Not to feel myself in a tragical or heavy way, which was creating certain kind of dysfunction in the communication between the father and son. So through this gesture, son saw this example and decided to gather with him and to work with him to make this performance to happen. So this is certain kind of a metaphor for all of us, for art, what we are doing with the art. This is the meaning of art. This performance is seamless like absurd gestures, but it can give a deeper and a bigger meaning to that's what we are doing, the same. As the same, yes. So this is like a certain kind of point. Do you say point? Of the work, of the whole work.
Thank you very much.
No, welcome.